Hey guys, Brian here. Welcome back to the shop. Today we're starting the process of rebuilding the air compressor. When I bought it, I kind of knew that it was probably going to need rebuilt because it had more blowby in the crankcase than what I felt like it should have. But it seemed fairly solid otherwise, and after checking it out, looks like I think it'll be okay. So it won't be a screaming deal, but it'll still be all right. I should be able to get this thing rebuilt and all working and everything and have less than $1,000 in it. So not great, but not terrible either for this size compressor. So let's take a look. You can see I've cleaned up the electrical system on it. They had a bracket, a yellow bracket there, where they had a receiver dryer mounted. So I just went ahead and put the motor starter off that. Seems to be a good place for it. The cables all reach and everything, and replaced the ends on the cable to hold them in there so I don't have any loose chewing on wires anymore. But if you look over here, this is where it gets ugly. This is what happens if you let your compressor sit outside in the weather. The reason why I don't really want mine out, because the heating and cooling, you get a lot of condensation, and condensation in this part of the country leads to rust. And then you get a top of a piston looks like that. Doesn't really hurt anything. I'll clean it off, but that tells you the kind of environment it's been in, where the moisture's set around. This compressor probably didn't run a whole lot. But the bigger issue is that I haven't exactly figured that out yet, but there's a ring on the ends. It's too dark to see. But there's a ring that goes on the end here that rotates around, that dips oil out of the bottom and pressure feeds it. Well, it doesn't pressure, it drip feeds it to the crankshaft, and then it slings it out, centrifugal force into the bearings. So it's not a dipper stick lube engine, or motor, pump, whatever, but it's kind of an odd deal. But anyway, that's why Devilbiss claims that you can run these pumps to 300 psi max. Of course, couldn't do it on this tank, but suppose they think the pumps are tough enough for that. Which has got a nice big snout out here on the end for the flywheel. So I've already got that. I've started taking this apart. So I've got the valves out of it. All this needs cleaned up. It's not in terrible shape, but it's not in good shape either. So, but I think a little cleaning and it'll be ready to go. The cylinder walls are pretty good shape. You can see more of this rust, that mess. Don't want that running through your pump. It's not good for it. So the oil I'll use in this will be a lot more anti-corrosion resistance additives to it and stick better, and that'll help prevent this. But so it looks like the cylinder walls are good. I wouldn't worry too much about them. I think I found the blow-by culprit. Here we've got a piston that's cracked through the pin bore. This is that ring that's supposed to dip the oil. I'm thinking it's the reason it quit working is because it's bent. The other end's oiling, but this end's not. So it's either bent or stopped up. The other side of this busted piston, it's all scuffed. So need some low pressure pistons. So see, they are still available, about $200 a piece. So that's not good. I have to wait to see what the other one looks like, see if I have to replace them both. May spend the extra money replacing both anyway if they're different, so that they stay balanced. That's the back bearing plate. Looked like the seal's in it crooked, so it was probably gonna leak. Coolers look all right. Don't see anything there. So before I pull this other head off, I want to get the plugs loose for the valves. So got my A-bomb sized wrench here, ratchet. It's a 1-inch Williams. And my set I keep for using big stuff. I'm probably lacking on A-bomb torque, so I use cheaters. A lot easier to get these loose while they're bolted. Something weighs a couple thousand pounds. These particular compressors are designed so you can service the valves without pulling the heads off. It is kind of a nice feature should you need to do that. Stan Zinkowski, Shade on HKW, the controls guru of the YouTube machine world. He says that people don't keep air filters clean on these, and these valves do need kind of an annual maintenance. For me, I doubt they would, because this compressor is not going to run that often. Usually all I use a compressor for that's high demand is using big impacts, 3/4 and 1-inch drives on semis and farm equipment. So those use quite a bit of air. But yeah, definitely this stuff needs cleaning up. Let's see how yucky it is. But the seal faces look okay, so I think they'll clean up and be all right. The Tom Lipton would call style points I give it to them on these lines here, those nice Art Deco type heads on those manifold pieces. Gives it a good look. That check valve with the big cooling fans, that's a cool looking piece too. And it does appear to work. I've since fixed the unloader better. It's working, or was working better before I started tearing this apart. So in order to get the next step here is I'll take all this piping off and then pull these jugs, and we'll work on getting these pistons out of here, and then I can do a better job inspecting the crank once I get it out. So, but it's not super handy, but that is how you have to do it. You've got to pull these jugs off with the pistons still hanging in them. So putting them back, I'm sure is going to be fun, getting all the piston rings stuffed up in the bottom of the jug and shoving the jug on at the same time. It's like building a Corsair or something. Alright, I've got the rest of the way stripped down, so I guess it's time to try and get this jug off here. Definitely in a lot better shape on this side. I wouldn't be worried about running that. So and then you got all kinds of goo on top of the steel piston there. Aluminum one's a lot cleaner. I imagine those cast iron intercoolers, as they rust, they probably throw trash in on top of the pistons too. So over 50 years, that's what you get. But we'll get this cleaned up, and I think it'll be good to go. All I gotta do is get this crank out, check it, and see if it's gonna go back standard, or if it'll have to be turned undersized. I think it'll go standard. I can't rock the piston on it. It's got a lot of angular, up and down, not too much. I think it's just the inserts will be good. But I'll finish getting this part, I'll bring you back. Well, there it is. A mirror shell of its former self. See how nasty and goopy all that stuff is. So after 50 years, definitely needs cleaning out. But the surfaces all look okay. No cracks or anything, so I think that'll be all right. Over here on the granite table, I know it's a surface plate and you shouldn't do this, but hey, I'm not dragging this stuff around on it, so I shouldn't be hurting it any more than checking an engine block on it, just sitting this stuff on here. But there's the crankshaft. bearing on the back end is pretty good. Bearing on the front end, if you can hear that, it's rough, so it needs replaced. Got the unloader assembly. It's just got a cam and some balls. When it's spinning, the centrifugal force throws the balls out, and it goes in, and then when it slows down, the balls fall down in here and jam it back out, and that's how it unloads. There's that cylinder. Doesn't feel bad. It's got some discoloration marks in it, but I think it'd hone up and be good. There's no discernible wear. Usually your fingertips can pick up piston ring grooves. And there's none there on either the high or the low, so it's all to clean up and be rebuildable as long as this crank checks to be serviceable. So I mean, take it outside and put some gas on it, try and get the goop all cleaned off of it where I can inspect it and bring it in here and check it out. That's amazing the difference some cleaning will make. So got the crud off this thing, got it cleaned down here, and see, there's some rust in between the journals there, but it really doesn't matter because nothing runs there, so that'll be all right. Probably take some emery cloth before I put it together and clean that off. But for now, let's check and see if this is going to be rebuildable. It's 48.5. $48. $48. $48. $48. $7. $47. $47.5. $47. $48. $47.5. So this worst journal is about at most 1 thou under spec. I think it'll be all right for the 500 RPMs that this thing turns. That should be sufficient to let enough oil in there to keep this lubed up. It's ain't under huge loads either, really. I mean, it's compressing air, so it's a couple 100 pounds on this, and an engine it would have even more, but a lot of times in high performance engines, it loosen the oil clearances up. Of course, that's with an oil pump. This doesn't have an oil pump, but I think it should still be fine, 1,000, so I don't think it's that big a deal on this. Yep, looks like that journal there is right on factory spec. It's within a half thou in all directions, so that one there is real good. This one here is okay. So it'd be nice if that was a little bit cleaner, but I think it'll be just fine. Well, I think it's pretty obvious that someone's been here before me, but they didn't fix all the problems. This probably original bearing. Interesting, it says it's Austrian. That's a USA. These are 6211s. It's gonna be too hard to find those. So that one there is pretty good shape. And this one here is loose and loud, so gonna replace it. Then I'm taking these rings, because you can see that crud in there. I don't want that crud going through the bearings. I want this nice and clean inside. So those are mounted on the outside here. It's what catches the oil and slings it into the oil hole there. So I'll pop the cap off this other end and then clean these passages out. Yep, look at the amount of bad things in there just waiting to sling out into a bearing. So if you're going to rebuild one of these, taking that apart and cleaning all this, that's an important step. So we've got this pretty well all tore down now. So I'll throw it in the truck and take it to work with me and get this stuff cleaned up. Well, that pretty well completes the tear down of the 445. So it looks like it is going to be rebuildable, so that's a good thing. Nothing too catastrophically wrong or really high wear. It's just a lot of dirt and rust and grime. So I think some new bearings and rings and seals and it'll be ready to go. So, but for now, I'm going to take this into work and get everything cleaned up and order some parts. So thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing. I'll catch y'all later.